All right, I'm gonna quickly review today's trade, which was it was really clean, or you could say kind of clean to watch. At least the confirmation and the action that was happening at the lows was clean to watch, but not so much possible entry. But as clean as it gets, this is the following hypothesis or what I was watching. So before the open, market was finding buying at this 58.74, 58.70, which was it was resistance 2 weeks ago. Then found really strong buying at it last week, pulled back and held, and ever since that it's acted as pretty much a level that it was once resistance right here, and then support. And overnight we're finding support at it, right? I also had this level marked, which was the low from May 19th, right? That the market did find resistance on Thursday last week, and then overnight we were pretty much um, finding resistance at it. So overnight, I also had this level on watch, right? But if market pulled back into the 74s up until the 70s, which 70s you could call it's kind of like a rally, a little bit of a consolidation, and then a further out rally. Not very clean, but it was a rally, somewhat of consolidation, a rally, and it was the low from this day right here. So levels right here that if the market did pull back, I was looking to be a buyer for a move higher. Now, first couple things, let's start with the tape right here, and let's go to the open. So let's go to 9:30, and everything comes clear. And what I want to review definitely happens between 9:35 to about 9:37, right? So let's go to the open. The market opens below this 93s, but we're above the 75s and the 70s. So I want to see what the market does. Sorry, 74s. So in this, we're pulling back. I'm not seeing really weak pullback, not really weak open, which is good because we're still below the 74, above the 74. So I want to see what the market does at the lower portion, right? Simple as that. Let's speed this up. The market starts gravitating lower, right? Keep in mind, level is pretty much this area right here, 74, so above the 70s, right? So right now we're not at a level of interest. I'm just waiting for the market to come into the level. If and only if I have a level of interest, which is my where, and I might have a why, which is the tape and the order flow and what action happens at the lows, right? So far it's 932, 933. I want to show how the market looks by 934 because that's where we're coming to the level. So let's speed this up right here because I don't think there's anything right here that would have, made me enter in this. Because yeah, you do see some bats as bits as we're selling off, but they're not, they're getting filled, but they're not getting worked, for example, which is something. And we're also not at the 74s. So, but when 934 comes, the market looks just like this, right? The market looks just like this, right? So 934 is when we tag 58.74, right? We have a bit over there that got filled, but nothing yet. I want to see intention from the bids for me to possibly, take a speculation at it, right? So when so 58.75, 58.74, okay, we're selling off into the level. Now how is that going to show? How is the possible trade into higher portion going to work out, right? What am I going to see at the lows? And only if, because we continue to sell off, and only if buying does step in for me to take the market to the upside, right? We have a bid right here so far that got filled and it appeared again. Let's see. Does it get reloaded? Does it get worked? Pretty much it is at the area of interest. One over there. Okay, got filled over there, right? So you could kind of see that as bits getting worked, but the one that does get my attention is the one right here over there. Look, got worked many times. All of this right here, right at the 70s and the 74s, That is some context over there. 935 bits over there, and I think they get appear once again right here, one more time. If that's, there we go, over there, getting worked again. Look at that, getting filled. Bits getting filled at the lows. It's the first piece of context. Now it's not for me, at least for me, to get immediately long, but I want to keep watching the context right here. Look at that, gets appeared again. For sure it gets filled. I don't think they pulled this bid right here. But then by 9:36 we make the low. So by now we made the low, right? Probably gets more over there getting worked. This is incredible. So 3 times where bids are getting worked right here. Now in the next couple seconds we're gonna see that we break low day. Look at all the volume also that we're having at the lows. All the volume forming. That's why I wouldn't want, I would rather see something at the lows that would make me think the lows most likely getting put, because all of this volume right here, we're most likely going to break the low of day, right? And that's exactly what we do at this minute. I'm going to speed this up right here, right? Look at all the action at the lows. Looks very similar to last Thursday, right? Over there. Look at this nice, perfect volume tail that we live right here. More clear on the footprint. Look at that. But also right here on the heat map, right? This bit does not get filled, but right now so far it's game on for me. Look, the volume tail that we left right here, all of the bits getting worked. It's either immediately for me market order right now, right now speculating that a low is in, right? Or simply just wait for this to rally, right? And then, for example, a pullback, and that's how I like to trade, for example. But from now, the only thing that we're missing are out of offer trades, because the market can keep selling off. But where the level of interest, we're seeing the bits getting worked, all we need is our offer trades, and this is a game on, right? So for now, let me look for an entry, right? We have the bits getting worked, as I mentioned. We have the sweep over there to the lows after this volume bulge, and then the market's moving higher with that offer trades. We're wanting some larger ones or probably a faster one. But now it's, where could I possibly enter for this right here? Now, the problem in how the market moved all day today was that we never had a significant pullback for me to have an entry or have a better entry. Because right here, yes, we're moving higher, but the best context, at least for me, is rally and then a possible pullback, at least into the 72s as we move higher for a possible entry right to the upside. Now, what does the market do? We never pull back, and that's a problem. Yeah, you could call it right here. Maybe this one right here, but all we're missing are the offer trades, which do come in at 938 and 939, right? So let's speed this up. Like, we're not really having out offer trades, kind of over there. There we go. So now, this is something different. We are kind of having out offer trades after this context at the lows. Now it's, let me wait for an entry. For me, at least for me, instead of marketing order one at the 75s and having a 7-point stop loss, I'd rather leave an order at the 72s at least for it to get filled and just having a 4-point stop loss instead of marketing order one. But what exactly is what happens today? That we never pull back. Look, we just never pull back. All these quick little dips got bought. So either you enter as we're moving higher, knowing that you have a greater risk, or like you put a bid, which is exactly what it did, and I never got filled. Because for example, right now at the 75s, it's a totally valid to put a bid right here at the 72s, the 73s, even the 70s, right? Let's see, also this kind of like drop consolidation and then rally. So 73s is totally valid for me to leave a bid right here. But the problem is that we never pulled back into that. Like, we never pulled back and lift, into a bid. You would have gotten like that, for example, because by 9:41, 9:40, game is on. The market is telling you all the things for a possible reversal, especially at the level of interest, but we never pull back. So right here, either you market order this, let's say you have a 5-point stop loss into the 70s, which, it's not invalid yet, just knowing that you might have a greater risk, or you live a bid right here, and then you get get worked over there. Look at those bits getting worked over there. That's perfect confirmation. Probably get long over there, right? And of course saying this because in hindsight we just never pulled back at least into the 74s. So by now it's what, 9:39? The market is barely pulling back. Look at this move right here, right? The market does gravitate higher. I'm gonna speed this up right here. Look, nice auto for trades, and for sure when the next candle closes at 9:40, it is game on, right? Let's want to speed this up right here because the context is, as I mentioned, all of that. Look, we have really nice auto for trades over there. By now, it's game on. And problem for me was today when the market looked probably just like this. I was expecting too deep of a pullback for me to get along. That just never happened. It never happened, right? At the 80s, I wanted a 6-point pullback that never came because we did pull back into the 76s, but we pulled back into 70. Sorry, I wanted to pull back into the 74s, which is where I left the bid. It just never got filled, and at 58.75 we actually pulled back right here into this. So this in hindsight would have been the best entry, even the 76s, because we never pulled back into 75s, right? But the market does move higher, and I think we pulled back at 9.42 and 9.43. So by now you cannot chase right here. At least for me, it's too big of a risk. It's too greater, like it's 12 points to the lows. That's why I want to see a pullback into the 74s or at least the 75s. The market does pull back at 9.42. So next minute, the market is going to pull back into this right here. Sorry, into the 76s. So right there. I think into the 76s, if I'm not mistaken. 77. No, at 9.43 is where I pull back into the 76s. Look, not enough of a pullback over there. I want to see a pullback at least lower, at least the 75s, at least, and that happens, I think, in right here. Speed this up right there. There's a little bit of a pullback. All right, let me leave a bit right there at the 74, 75s, which is exactly what it did. And it's just that never happened. Like that never happened. These bits didn't even get worked right here, or I could have market order or something. It just never happened. And then from then it was game on. So technically, in hindsight, the best entry would have been, I mean, market order one as soon as it reclaims, knowing that it's very low probability but very low risk, right? The 72s, having stop loss below the low of the day, or simply when the market possibly look like this, just leaving one of the 72s, knowing you could not even possibly you would not gotten filled, right? Even right here, I don't think you would have gotten filled, or then just this quick dip that we had in the market. But then in hindsight, why should I enter right here? 74s made a little more sense, but it's just I said this is as clean as it gets. So in hindsight, to learn from it, you know, the action, and also the good thing is, and this is how unstructured the market is, this was really clean. Like you should have market order one order at least, you know, the order over there. Why? Because the context was there as it was developing, right? Context was there. It was absolutely there. Like we had that volume over there, all of the large volume, right at the lows when the market looked like this volume bulge was developing over there, left the tail over there like a quick sip in the market, and then it's market order at least at the 72s, for example. Probably even stop loss below this if it's low probability, right? Because the pullback never came. Would have been a better entry, yes, but as I'm saying, it's as clean as it gets. And then in hindsight, you know, the market did rally. I would have possibly entered, you know, over there targeting the 93s, which is the level mentioned. The market does pull back at 950, I believe, into the 79s, which again could have been, now in hindsight, this consolidation right here, over there, pulled back into this, could have been also another entry. Saying, so then the market did rally. We reached the 93s at 10 a.m. from news. And that would have been the first target, right? And then what I want to review also real quick is just the action that happened right at the 93s, where we had really large at bid trades as we consolidated. That would have been the next possible trade for me. Really nice. at bid trades over there and getting worked over there. Could have been another entry, but just right at the highs. Why would you do that, right? Then in hindsight, it's just as clean as it gets, right? We had that all of these nice at bid trades over there. If we do rally, I want to see a pullback into the 93s, something that also just never came. Right? I want to see a rally when the market's at right here, exactly right here. I want to see a pullback into the 93s. Should have recognized that the market that we were barely pulling back and just the market each quick little dip was getting bought. And then the next level for me would have been pre-market high of 59.12, which I think we do reach eventually later on, right over there, I think. In each quick little dip, but the review for today, was for sure. There we go. Then we reach pre-market high. But definitely the review. Now to have a playbook on this is just the bids getting worked at the lows, sweep over there, and then possibly just marketing order as soon as you see that, because this has been the conditions. And if we don't pull back, just simply recognize that it's lower probability, but lower risk. So